Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
Becoming a father has changed everything about the way I see the world.
There are some treatments on the horizon that create some hope.
The reaction that I get from people is what continues to motivate me.
A doctor chronicles his journey with his father's Alzheimer's diagnosis in a new book. Plus, works of art spanning 500 years, how they honor local history. And then, fine detailed pencil drawings, how unemployment helped him find his art career. But first, a group of guitar enthusiasts that enjoy making beautiful music. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
St. Louis Classical Guitar is a nonprofit organization in the St. Louis area that focuses on performance and education and community engagement, all centered around guitar. This is going to be our 60th season coming up for our 2023-24 season. Initially, it was a matter of local guitar players getting together and sharing the music, playing music for each other, and it's evolved into this concert series that we have with artists from all around the world. The education program has kind of blossomed out of it as well, from 0 to 18 schools and community centers. These are all things that have sort of evolved along the way.
The Guitar Orchestra is basically a way for people who are members of the St. Louis Classical Guitar organization to come together and be able to play music in just a fun, relaxed setting with other guitar enthusiasts.
We come from all different backgrounds, and many of us are retired now, so we have more time to devote to this. But you'll find engineers and attorneys and mechanics. I mean, we're all different professions, but the music is what unites us, and we have a good camaraderie. Everybody gets along and has fun.
I started at 8, but huge gaps, because, you have careers and other things, and so I went back to it a few years ago when I retired. But I've been playing throughout my life. I wasn't sure, but when I got there, it was really fun in that it's a circle of folks. Some of them are very good in the sense that they majored in music, classical guitar, and then others like me never did that. And they were patient, and we were in sections, and so everyone works together and enjoys it. And Mark does a great job of, I like to say, herding cats. We all have our moment.
It's set up where we all do quartet arrangements, basically, where we do 3, 4, 5 people in a part. And so we have camaraderie, and it's not all on our own shoulders to play and carry the music. We can all, as a group, make it with less stress and more fun.
The camaraderie and hearing other folks as they move along, and we have this joint effort to get it right on a project, and when it happens, you feel like a sense of accomplishment. So, yeah, it's fun.
We all come together just to make beautiful music, and when you hear multiple guitar parts happening at once, but the music just kind of interlocks, and so you just get it with this wall of gorgeous sound.
Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
What's it like to live with dementia? Most of us fear it more than death. In fact, Dr. Sandeep Johar's family would not even utter the word Alzheimer's until they had no choice. The physician wanted to understand what was happening to his cherished father and the best way to cope. Those challenging years are now chronicled in Dr. Johar's memoir, My Father's Brain, Life in the Shadows of Alzheimer's.
For nearly 7 years, I pushed and prodded, threatened and cajoled, begged and pleaded, encouraged and ridiculed. I made my father walk, bought him books, forced him to do puzzles. I loved him, cared for him, and hated him too.
This is your fourth book,
Yes.
but none have been as personal as this one. So as a doctor, as a cardiologist, was it difficult, enlightening, or both to write a memoir, but also about your father's descent into dementia, but while combining it with your professional expertise? Was there this tug of war?
When I was going through this experience with my father, I really didn't have a blueprint for what to do. You know, even though I'm a doctor, I'm a cardiologist, but you know, I was surprisingly naive about neurological disease, and it actually turns out that my mother developed Parkinson's disease. I write about that in the book as well. But the focus is on the Alzheimer's, because that's sort of the emperor of all, you know, brain diseases. I wanted to write the book that I needed when I was going through that journey. You know, both a sort of personal story of what I went through, what my family went through, but also enough about the history and science of the disease that I could provide some clarity to caregivers. You know, because it's a very frustrating experience,
Yes.
caring for someone with Alzheimer's, and it's doubly frustrating when you don't know what to expect. Alzheimer's tends to start in the part of the brain that encodes memory. That's why people forget what they had for lunch. But then the part of the brain that sort of processes emotions is right next to the part of the brain that encodes memory. The memory part of the brain is called the hippocampus. The emotional part of the brain is called the amygdala. So Alzheimer's tends to start in the hippocampus. It moves to the amygdala, so people initially have memory problems, then they develop behavioral disturbance, anger, emotional instability, and then eventually the disease, you know, moves, extends out, and eventually starts to affect the parietal lobes, and that's where Dr. Day at WashU explained to me is where sort of self-awareness lies. So neurological disease is so different than physical disease because your understanding of the disease can be impaired by the disease itself.
There are no effective treatments for those who already have symptoms or anything to slow it down. Is that correct?
It was true then.
Okay.
Now, and I write about this in the book, there are new treatments for Alzheimer's that may be game changers. We don't know at this point, but you know, one of the long-standing issues with Alzheimer's is what causes it.
Right.
Is it inflammation, which causes a lot of other problems in the body, arthritis and liver disease and heart disease to some extent is inflammatory. Is it inflammation, or is it these misfolded proteins called plaques and tangles? More recently, there are anti-amyloid drugs that have been developed that slow the decline of patients' dementia and their cognition. So I would say that there's still really no incredibly effective treatments, but there are some treatments on the horizon that create some hope.
Yes.
To find out what you can do to help reduce your chances of developing Alzheimer's, watch the full interview at hecmedia.org.
They are the best-selling authors and all of your favorite genres. For in-depth, one-on-one interviews, go to hecmedia.org.
So we are here at the St. Louis Art Museum at the exhibition New to the Museum, showing a wonderful range of works from prints, drawings, photographs, collages, even contemporary digital work, to give a great sense of the creative range of expression across 500 years of time. So the museum is always acquiring new works. We've actually acquired about 2,400 works since 2016. So all the works on view are from that period of time. I'm one of the 3 co-curators of this exhibition, along with Elizabeth Wyckoff and Claire Cabeza. We all bring our own areas of expertise and perspective to this material to present this work in a very lively and engaging way. This exhibition both helps to build on existing strengths within the collection. For example, just behind me, the Max Beckmann drawing builds on our stellar and internationally known collection of Beckmann paintings and prints. Other works on view intentionally build upon the representation of Black, Indigenous, and women artists in the collection. So one of the pieces is by the Indigenous artist Mauriceau, a very bold, graphic, colorful screen print. Next to that on the wall is a work by Emma Amos, a Black artist who did these very large sort of experimental works in printmaking that communicate both sort of a bodily sense of the figures in her work, but also juxtaposing those figures with graphic patterns in the background. We also have contemporary works by Indigenous artists. The artist Scawanetti, who works on a digital platform. She's thinking about science fiction imagery and projecting creation stories from her Iroquois culture sort of into the future, which is a wonderful thing to have on view. And in addition, we have a number of works in the show that engage with local history, with the people, places, histories of the St. Louis region, such as 2 wonderful woodcuts by the beloved Washington University faculty member, Leslie Lasky. They are images of the Comet roller coaster in the Highlands Amusement Park, where Forest Park Community College is now. And a lot of people in St. Louis will remember and be able to relate to. This exhibition runs through July 9th. For more information, you can visit slam.org. Also on the website for this show, there's a number of audio guide recordings that you can listen to for more information about certain pieces. So we really hope that you come and enjoy the show.
The music of Jeremiah Johnson, later on Spotlight.
Well, my name is Joseph Bodis. I am a graphic artist. I do fine detail pencil drawings of historical buildings, landmarks, and iconic sports. I capture an old vintage look to my work. I like to refer to as creating a moment or a memory in time. Well, I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. My biggest influence that I always admired, I'd always have to say probably was my brother. Along the way, he showed me a few things of what I could do, and I just always practiced, and then I just developed my skill along the way from there. The art that I started doing basically came out of the blue right after I came out of college. I happened to be a Target run that my wife went to and saw one of those pictures that you can buy over there of the Eiffel Tower. I told her, I was like, honey, I'm an artist, let me see what I can do. So I had it in my mind that I wanted to be a pencil type look, and something that popped in my mind is I utilized my art history. So I looked up Leonardo da Vinci and looked up his pencil sketches, and I liked that kind of style. Now the difference between his work and my work is his aged over time. I had to push the age on my work to be able to create that old vintage look to my work. I like the fact that he always kept the construction lines on the work, so you can always see the actual start to finish product in my work, and it created more of an artistic look to it, a very unique aspect. Again, they were just for play. The shows were never a thought of mine. The market crashed in 2010, I believe it was, and I found myself unemployed for 16 months. Something popped in my head. I decided why not try my hand in art shows. I had no clue what to do. I was nervous because I didn't have any capital or any money to basically invest in trying to develop my art. But I got involved with a local craft show, and I threw out a body of work. And after that show, I found I had somebody that actually inspired me, that gave me an idea of, oh, do I do this drawing of the Fox Theater? So I decided to create one. Well, it was then that really took off my showing the interest that people liked with my type of work that I was doing, the theme that I was doing. So what I do is I find a reference photo, I break down that photo. So basically I take everything out there and I focus directly on the building itself. And I put a blend behind that to give it that old cloudy look, that helps age it a little bit. Once I do that, it does take me quite a bit of time. It's a lot of process with what I do. It can take me anywhere from 80 to 100 plus hours. It's not a very fast process. It's actually a very slower process compared to most other mediums that you do. Just because working in a big area and working with just a small little tiny tool, it takes a lot longer to fill that area. It's like trying to do a 5,000 piece puzzle. Being an independent artist is very rewarding, but there's a lot of pressure with it. The reasoning why I say it's a lot of pressure is because you have to do everything yourself. But I find it very rewarding because it's me being able to be my own boss. Plus, the reaction that I get from people is really the driving aspect of what continues to motivate me. I get tons and tons of people that come in and they're admired by my work. So I would say my thing that I want them to take away is being able to be inspired to create their work and become an artist themselves. If they have a passion for it, don't be afraid to step out and take the risk of being able to just put your creative side. Sometimes a lot of people don't know how to express themselves in words, but they can do it by putting it down on paper. And when you create something that can express an emotion for yourself and it comes out, it's a feeling that anybody, I find that it's very rewarding and it's inspiring, and it can only help grow the next generation moving forward in the art world.
This story brought to you by Educate.Today.
Ray Barrett is among the stars of golf, but it has nothing to do with his swing, his putting, or really anything else when he plays.
My experience with golfing is zero. I'm the worst golfer in the world. L for lousy, that's what really sums it up.
His big-time break, that's now part of PGA action, has more to do with his eyesight.
At this age, we don't see that well, so first hole, we're teeing off. We swing as hard as we can, as hard as we can. It doesn't go very far, and the first thing we say is, where to go? Where to go?
So he had an idea that looked like this.
I'll put some lines on the ball, and I asked my wife, she's in interior design. I said, Diane, which colors do we see the best? She said, red, green, and blue. So we got 3 Sharpies, a red, a green, a blue. And I painted those lines in that golf ball. And that's very difficult. And it's very difficult to put a straight line on a golf ball. But anyway, I did it, and now I ran out to the golf course. I couldn't wait. Same tee, number 1 tee, same big club. Again, I swung as hard as I can, and then I said, where to go? Still couldn't see it.
Okay, so it didn't work. Trial and error. But he didn't chuck the ball in the trash either.
It was helping with putting. I mean, I couldn't understand this. And after a whole season of putting better, I played with some guys, and the person who shoots the highest score for 9 holes, and I shoot 50 plus, buys lunch. And all of a sudden, I'm not buying lunch anymore. And they're madder than heck. What are you doing? So now I'm painting lines on their golf ball.
As a well-established entrepreneur in St. Louis, Barrett realized he was onto something that could help even more golfers. But whatever it was, he knew there was a science behind it, and it would need to be proven.
Something was making me putt better, and it had to be something to do with my eyes. This ball was working better, and it had to do with my vision, but I couldn't figure that out. I didn't know what in the heck it was.
So he called Dr. Carl Bassey at the University of Missouri St. Louis. Bassey is a professor and director of research for the College of Optometry. Barrett asked him for the scientific explanation for his putting improvement.
And we looked at it. He said, well, you're on the verge of veneer acuity.
And one of the things that happens with the human visual system is we are exquisitely sensitive to whether lines are aligned or not and whether things are lining up. This vernier acuity is much more sensitive than the standard kind of acuity, maybe 10 times more sensitive.
Bassey says the phenomenon of vernier acuity refers to a person's ability to see discrepancies in alignment among line segments. It's why landing strips on aircraft carriers are lined for pilots, with a set of 3 lines for reference points points, the brain perceives the straightness of aim better.
So there's lots of examples where these 3 points of being able to use for alignment actually improve alignments. Vernier acuity is better when you have flanks. If you have these flanks and they're too close, that's not good. So they have to be separated by enough space that's there in order to actually be doing some good in terms of the alignment.
Just as the space between the lines on the ball matter, so does the thickness and colors.
Those colors that are on there, they have to be contrasting colors. It's not, if you had them just black lines, it doesn't work as well. It turns out if you have contrasting colors, it actually works better.
Bassi put his hypothesis to the test. He joined Barrett in the early stages of the business venture to conduct the research into what Barrett calls triple track technology. It took a lot of work and years of beating down doors to get a company to take on his triple track technology.
It's a scientifically proven concept. And so that's what drove me to continue, and I did for 7 years before finally Callaway decided to take a look at it.
When Callaway did, Barrett relaxed and watched his vision unfold. It's now a feature on the Callaway ERC soft golf balls, ranked among the best golf balls in 2019. PGA great Phil Mickelson was among the first big names to use the patented triple track technology.
It's being used throughout the world by professionals as well as recreational golfers like myself. So there's no limit because it helps. It helps the game of golf. It speeds up play because you're playing better. And when you play better, people are more interested in the game. So it really benefits the game as a whole, and it certainly benefits the individual golfer.
Looking to inspire the young innovators in your life with some summer learning? Check out our educational website at educate.today.
You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
James McAnally. I'm the director of Counterpublic, which is a civic exhibition founded here in St. Louis that brings public art into public spaces. So in 2023, Counterpublic is going to run the full 6-mile length of Jefferson Avenue. So we're using that street to kind of tell a story of St. Louis. 30 projects that are all new, so it's never been seen before, never been experienced before. All of the art is responding specifically to St. Louis and the sites we're working at and our specific histories. From Sugarloaf Mound to the Griot, we hope people spend a day or 2 days throughout the 3-month length just spending time with the city in a different way and understanding kind of some of the future possibilities that could be here if we kind of learn to reflect on our history in meaningful ways, honor those legacies while also thinking about how could we inhabit this place more thoughtfully.
My name is Damon Davis. I am an artist, and we are in St. Louis, Missouri at City Park, which is right in front of the St. Louis City Soccer Stadium, and we are in front of Pillars of the Valley, a monument I designed for the people of Mill Creek Valley. Mill Creek Valley was a thriving black neighborhood that was demolished in the 50s because they wanted to build the highway here. Now, the idea behind this Pillars of the Valley monument is to commemorate, validate the stories, and unearth the history of the people that lived here. Make sure that that never happened again. So I wanted to figure out what was a symbol that was simple, but also universal for time, the hourglass. So when you look at these monuments behind me, they are an abstraction of the hourglass idea. The limestone is indigenous to here, St. Louis and Mill Creek. So the idea is also excavating and uncovering things that have been purposely buried or that are under us.
My name is Anita Fields, and I'm a citizen of the Osage Nation. I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm an artist working with the curator Risa Puello to create this installation near Sugarloaf Mound called Way Back. These platforms you would see within our community with the Osage tribe. They're built partially on memory from when I was a very young person. I remember people would just make themselves comfortable on them and enjoy a smoke or have some lemonade. They'd be visiting with one another. They would be telling stories. They would be laughing. They still exist today. You find them at many of the camps when we have our ceremonial dance. People still sit on them and visit with one another. This is associated with us coming back to this area, especially close to Sugarloaf Mound, with as much respect for the ancestors who were here. The way we were removed from this area was through erasure and through Western movement, a series of treaties, and we were just kept being pushed out of this area, our ancestral homeland, until we were pushed to the edge of Kansas and made our way into present-day Osage County. So I want people to think about this history, and history has a bad habit of repeating itself. And so these are the kinds of things that I want, folks to remember and to think about.
The best way to follow Counterpublic is probably on Instagram @Counterpublic or our website counterpublic.org. We'll do this for 3 months every 3 years, so we hope people follow along.
HEC Media, recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. HEC Media has been bringing home the hardware for over a decade. Arts and education to author talks, magazine shows and documentaries, individual craft achievements to overall excellence. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
With his trademark blend of Mississippi River St. Louis blues, Texas guitar slinger blues, and a bit of Southern country rock, the music of Jeremiah Johnson is the heartbeat of the common man.
I'm just a regular guy, man, blue-collar guy. I'd never really seen my life as much, much more than, doing like labor-type jobs and construction-type jobs, and I've just been taking the music sort of in the same respect, hard work ethic and trying my best to just do the best I can.
I trade you a diamond for a gallon of gasoline. You got your hands in my pocket. You trying to steal from me, you and me. I used to ride all night down that highway. I used to ride all night long.
Inspired by the birth of his son, the lyrics flew naturally while composing the song Leo Stone.
Better call the doctor, mama's on the way. Overwhelming joy and pride to give you my name. And I don't.
Becoming a father and having this little boy in my life now has changed everything about the way I see the world. And of course, it's affected my music too. And to see him now, he sees me and monkey see, monkey do, he's got a little guitar and he's really starting to show that he gets it and he's seeing what I'm doing. This is the first child I've had. When you finally have a child, you realize the world's a little different to you. You're no longer living day to day like I was before. You're living for the future.
Leo Stone, so glad you're home. Kind of love never fades away. Spread your wings and seize the day.
Next week, a sneak peek of a private tour of the Botanical Garden. Plus, regional playwrights get to produce original unpublished works at this theater. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.